Hello YouTube and welcome to another video about PowerShell. So today we're gonna see the second part of deep dive into files and folders using PowerShell. So are you ready? Let's get started. So as you have seen on my previous video, I showed you some couple of commandlets that lets you deal with files. So in this video we'll focus on folders, but in files also. So let's begin. So as usual, I'm using here VS Code, but you can of course use the normal terminal of PowerShell if you're using Windows 10 or Windows 11. Okay, but here just for convenience I'm using VS Code because it's more beautiful. Okay, and it has IntelliSense, which actually can fill all the commands that I want to use. So I create, as you can see here, a file called example.ps1, and inside this file I'll be executing the commands using the F5 or Control F5 combination in order to run it here in the terminal. So first thing first, let's see what version of PowerShell we are using. So in order to do that, we use the variable ps version table. Here we go. So Control F5. So here, as you can see, I'm using PowerShell version 7.2.3, and the edition is the core edition. But it doesn't matter if you are using the desktop edition, it's also good. So let's clear that and let's begin by using some commands. So here, as you can see, I'm inside the directory called PS for PowerShell. So let's list all the items inside it. So I'll use here, as you can see, the famous command Get-ChildItem. So let's execute that. Here we go. So you can see here I have a couple of directories. So I have dir1, dir2, which are two directories, and the bunch of files, file1, file2, file3, and text files. Okay. So the first command that I will going to show you is to remove a file. So to remove a file, so as I told you before, all the commands in PowerShell are actually very intuitive. Okay. So to remove a file, we use the command remove item. Okay, here we go. Okay, so you see here the command remove item, and we use it with the parameter path. So for the path, we provide actually the full path of the file that we want to remove. But this command remove items can also be used to remove folders, registry keys, variable aliases, and functions. So remember that you can all these items remove it using this command. So here I'm gonna just to show you how to remove a file. For example, let's remove this file, file1.txt, which is in this same directory. So we are in the current directory, so I'll be using here the dot and anti-slash, okay, for the name of the file, which is file1. Here we go. So it's simple as that. So let's execute this command. Here we go. Here we have actually, you do not have sufficient access right to perform this operation or item. So here, if you have this kind of message, you have to force the deletion of the file. Okay, so in order to force it, all we have to do is to add here the parameter force. Okay, so sometimes you cannot remove some hidden files or read-only files or system files. So in order to remove them, you can use the force command. So let's, or force parameter, sorry. So let's execute once again, and here we go. We don't have any error, so let's verify that with the Get-ChildItem. Okay, Get-ChildItem. Here we go. So as you can see, I have now only file 2 and file 3. Okay, and also it's good always when you are dealing with deletion, when you want to remove a directory or a file or a registry key, is to add another parameter in order to force the user to confirm that deletion. So for example, let's try to remove this file too. So I'll be using the same command. So remove item. Okay. So the path, we are in the same directory here. So I will be using the dot. Okay. So file 2. So it's a read-only file. So I'll be using the force parameter, but also I'll be using here the confirm parameter in order that the user must confirm the deletion or not, because you may actually delete a file without wanting to delete it. So let's execute now this command and see the output. Here we go. So now you can see I have a message, are you sure you want to perform this action? So all you have to do is to answer yes or no. So let's answer yes. Here we go. And the file now has been deleted. We can confirm that using the Get-ChildItem. So as you can see, I have only now file 3 that remains. Okay. So remember that. Another thing, you can also use buttons, okay, in order to remove files. So if you want to remove all the files or the text files, you can just use remove item. Okay, the path, let's say I want to remove everything in this current directory here, so I'll use just the dot, and I want to remove all the text files, so you can use star.txt. So this command will actually delete all the files or the text files here without providing the name of each file. Okay. And another very interesting command is what if. So if I add a parameter here, for example, what if, so this parameter allows us to actually do simulation. It will not execute this command, but it will simulate what will happen if we are executing this command. Okay, so let's run it. Here we go. A positional parameter cannot be found that accept argument txt. So here actually I have make a mistake. Okay, so now let's execute it once again to see. Here we go. What if, so you see here it will remove file 3 test.txt, test2.txt, but the file still exists. It's just a simulation of what will happen if you are executing this command. So let's verify that my files are still there. Here we go. And indeed you can see the file are still on this directory. So remember always to use this command or this parameter what if you want to know what will happen before doing the action. Okay, and finally, as always, I will give you aliases. So you can use remove item, but you can see it's a lot of parameters, but you can do the same if you want to use this commandlet in PowerShell. You can just replace it with RI. Okay, so RI is actually the same as remove item. Also alias RM is always the same, and RM dir. So those three commands are all aliases of the remove item. Okay, so let's move on. Now let's say that we want to copy some files from folder to another folder. So let me show you the folders and files that I have. So here you can see I have some directories, I have some files. Let's say, for example, I want to copy this test file.txt to the dir1 directory. So the command is also intuitive. It's copy item, simple as that, and you provide the source, which is the path parameter here. So it's on my current directory and the file is test.txt, and I have to provide the destination. So the destination is also in the current directory, but it's a dir1 directory. Okay, so this command simply will copy, so the initial file where remains, it will copy it to the dir1 directory. So let's execute this command and see what will happen. So Control F5, here we go. So let's now go to dir1, okay, and get child item. Here we go. So you can see now all the files that exist on dir1, and indeed text or test.txt has been copied. Okay, so let's return back to our initial directory here, and of course with this command here, copy item, that we have used, you can also use the previous command that I have shown you. Okay, so the path, for example, test destination is, let's say this time, dir2. You can always use the parameters that I have shown you. For example, what if or confirm are still, actually you can use them if you want to use this command. And also a very interesting parameter is recurse. It's a very interesting command. So this recurse parameter will allows you to actually copy all subdirectories of a directory. So let's imagine here in the path we have directory, and you want to copy all its subdirectories and files. So you have to use the recurse parameter in order to copy all the subdirectories and files inside it. So all the content of the subdirectories will also be copied. Okay, next I will show you also another command if you want to move files this time. So let's say that here, as you can see, I have, let's say that this time I want to move this test.txt to dir2. So to move it, we use just move item command. Here we go. Also with the path. So this time I want to move the text file, and the destination will be my dir2. Okay, so let's execute this command. Here we go. So I have no error. So now let's list the content of my directory here. So let me clear that. Here we go. So you can see now test.txt has disappeared because it has moved to dir2. So let's go to dir2 and verify that. Here we go, Get-ChildItem. And indeed you can see that now I am inside dir2 and the test.txt file exists. Okay, And finally, I will show you just the command to rename file. So as you have guessed, the commands, it's pretty simple. So let's say that I want to rename this file here, file3, to file1, for example. So I can do it with the rename item, and all the command that I have showed you actually applies to folders, also to the registry keys, to variable, to aliases and function. So I will provide here the path, and this is I want to rename file3 to file1. So here I have to use new parameter called new name, and here let's provide the name. So let's say that I want to name it, for example, file1.txt. Okay, here we go. So I have no error. Let's get child item to verify that, and indeed you see now I don't have file3 anymore. All it remains is file1.txt. And remember, always you can actually with this command use the parameter confirm if you want the user to confirm the action, and also for simulation you can use the parameter what if. Okay, so you can always use these parameters, and the aliases for this command are ren for rename and also rni. So you can either use rename item or the shortcut for them, or aliases ren, rni. Okay, so that was just a brief actually dive into files and folders using PowerShell. As always, I hope it has been informative for you, and I want to thank you for viewing. Bye bye.